everyone, I'm Heather and welcome back to my channel. So we are back today with Deathmark. In the last episode, we defeated the cannon soldier and we learned that Banshee knows some stuff about us and has met us prior. So I guess we're going back to the mansion to talk about it, maybe? So let's go ahead and get going. Nope, the mansion's out of the way. Banshee clambers into the back seat of the car. His heavy scent fills the enclosed space. Ah, I can finally catch my breath. Now then, driver, take us to the Forest by H Castle. I drive down the familiar road. All lights along the way are strangely green. We reach our destination without me having to slow down the car once. The engine chugs along. I feel the wheels of fate turning like those on the car I'm riding in. 10 days ago, I promised, in exchange for you buying me an extra order of almond jelly, if you did forget everything, I'd take you to H Shrine. Sounds like I'd prepared for everything. But if I was that careful, why didn't I leave myself a clue? Why prepare if I was just going to forget? Did the curse progress faster than expected, so there wasn't time? Or did someone get rid of it? But if I had business at H Shrine, why didn't I go there while I still had my memories? Something about timing, waiting for some magic summer cleaning to clear away impurity? Suddenly, my old self echoes in my head. I speak the words out loud slowly as realization dawns. The summer purification rites. They're rites held at shrines to exorcise evil. On the last day of June, you pass through woven reeds to cleanse yourself. I was trying to use that ritual to exorcise the impurity. Ah, gotcha. Luckily, today's the 1st of July, so the rites or whatever are done. Should be no problem now. Exorcise the impurity, huh? What kind of impurity was I trying to cleanse? The more I learn, the less I understand. My previous self is like a complete stranger to me. How many times have I come to this forest now? The creepy arch and the thick trees look the same as always. You know where H Shrine is, yeah? Lead the way. You've never been there? First I heard of it was 10 days ago. Banshee and I push through the vegetation and make our way down the beast trail. We pass under the stone torrent gate, and finally arrive at the desolate H Shrine. The few headless Buddha statues that are left shine in the light of the flashlight. So the statues used in the project were stolen from here? Yeah, that's right. Is it really true the statues are connected to the mark somehow? I've considered the possibility that the mark was caused by their divine wrath. But 10 days ago, you said what happened 50 years ago wasn't because of the project. It was all because of her. This course I've been following the whole time, then at some point I had to be fed some huge lie. But what could it be? A shudder runs through me at the thought. It feels like I'm looking into the depths of hell. You said 10 days ago that altar holds something important. Something about needing to keep it here to exorcise the impurity? He approaches the small altar and puts his hand on the sliding door. Huh? What's going on here? The thing's empty. Don't ask me. It was already gone when I was here earlier. Well, that's darn weird. You said there was a cloth pouch. What was inside? A small fist-sized statue. A Nenjibutsu or something. It was the Go Shintai for the shrine. The Kujo had used it in the shelter to stop the mess 50 years ago. And again, it's the Kujo family. They must have strong ties to the mark. Well, this is about all I can do for you. At least it was enough to pay off the dessert. We should head back, son. Right. I'm still unsure about what my old self was thinking, but it's clear whatever plan I had didn't work. Where did the Nenjibutsu go? On the way back, I feel reluctant to go. I keep turning to look towards the shrine. Each time I do, Banshee hurries me on to the forest entrance. Well, this is where we part ways. You're not going to ride back with me? I'm going to be honest with you. I got a bit carsick on the way here. Flat roads were fine, but the curves and hills did me in. I just got a nice meal, and I'd hate to throw it up, so I'll walk back. But it's pretty far from here. Kids are such wimps these days. When I was young, I used to walk across the Himalayas all the time. This ain't nothing. Ha ha ha. His laugh is loud enough for the whole forest to hear. He waves and leaves me alone. Once he's out of sight, I get into the car. I pull out of the deserted parking lot and drive back to the mansion. As I count the streetlights passing by, I go over everything Banshee told me. 50 years ago in the shelter, the cannon soldier went berserk, but it wasn't because of the army's experiments, it was her. The army was unable to stand up to the threat of her and the soldier. But the Kujo family had used the Nenjibutsu to settle everything. However, she still exists in this time period. She was the one who gave me my mark. Before I lost my memories, I was planning on using the Nenjibutsu like they did before. I left it at 8 Shrine so it could be cleansed of its impurity, but somewhere along the line it went missing. The past me probably couldn't have predicted that would happen. I'm almost back at Kujo Mansion. As my drive comes to an end, I focus on what the most important detail is. That's right, who she is. I have a hunch about her identity, but I can't be sure yet. And that definitely proves that she was there. 50 years ago, she made the cannon soldier move down in the shelter. The Kujo family's head sealed her. They would have brought her to the mansion. The sacred objects for the project, of which she was one, were returned to the Kujos. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. If there were any way to defeat her, it just had to be in the mansion. I don't have any solid proof, but the fragments of my memories are whispering to me. The entrance doesn't look any different. My mark burns. The sharp pain nearly brings me to my knees. It seems she has no intention of hiding her presence any longer. New info is added to the spirit file, in pursuit of the truth. And there it is. So we meet again. Mary's voice is soft. I know now. Behind those words is hidden an intense lust for blood. You came back to life rather quickly. You gave me nearly a whole day, more than enough time. I admit that Rabbit's attack surprised me. But unexpected events can themselves be rather enjoyable. When I had brought Mary to 8 Shrine, we caught sight of the rabbit there. It might have suspected Mary's true nature. That rabbit. Its great love for you pushed it into recklessness. What was that rabbit really? Determine that for yourself. Who are you? Know that, and the answer will come. Though it is impossible so long as you bear the mark I gave you. Mary gave me the mark. I had a hunch, but hearing it from her lips fills me with dread. Just what are you trying to accomplish? Dragging the living to the depths of despair before killing them. I believe I explained that it is a spirit's utmost desire and joy. And I had your cooperation with achieving that. Cooperate? That's ridiculous. Oh, have you not realized yet? You did bring those pathetic mark bearers directly to the spirits, did you not? They feared the spirit's existence, trembled in the face of death. I savored the taste of that fear and despair, most delicious. You had all of us help out? Just to terrify the mark bearers even more? Clearly. I could have waited for the curses to complete if I only wanted them dead. That is not the only lie. Mark bearers must stay in small groups. Do not contact outsiders. All my instructions were to drive you into a state of emergency. And not once did you doubt me. I bet she's telling me all this, because she wants me terrified with how hopeless the situation I find myself in is. I'm frozen in place, and I know my face must be as pale as death. She must be loving this. Don't tell me you created all those spirits, just to accomplish that. Indeed, when Lady Christie believed divine wrath was the cause of the mark, I had never been more amused. Her foolishness was so delightful, I just had to come along with you. So you lied. Of course. How could a pile of broken statues possibly do anything? I could be imagining it, but I feel like she hesitated for a moment there. "50 years ago, I was sealed away by the head of the Cujo family. I awoke here 5 years ago. At the time, I was still unable to speak and communicate, but it seems my awakening alone caused a number of ripples. Those who died unfortunate deaths on cursed land became monstrous spirits. The H Elementary abuse, the honeybees' mass suicide, Seiko's assault and suicide. They all happened 5 years ago. I finally regained my full power a little over a month ago. Then the Buddha statue connected to me 50 years ago began moving. The woman killed by the statue was also influenced by my power. That must be the cannon soldier in Zukawa. Zukawa believed it was divine oracle from the soldier, when it really had been Mary. She did as the great Azura said and transformed herself into Miss Sue. Once my strength returned, I again bestowed my power on spirits. It connected humans to me and manipulates them into a panic. The mark. I know you've been toying with us, but well, was there really a need to make us be connected to you in some way? Of course. By being in direct contact with you, I could taste your fear. Even now. Are you scared of me, Lord Yoshiki? Sure. An honest reply. Her porcelain face cracks. Ever since you declared that you would fight the mark, I have waited eagerly for this day. Over the past 10 years, I have tasted your fear through the mark. I think it said 10 days. 10 days. Thick and syrupy, as sweet as honey, each savored morsel made me want to smash you to pieces. But I waited, I am not so foolish as to kill a goose that lays golden eggs. Ah, but I cannot take it anymore. Like crushing a ripe fruit and sipping its juices. I want to break you down and savor your sweet fear. Oh, that's creepy. The mark has dyed a deep crimson. A few minutes left until death closes in. My thoughts blur together suddenly. What happens to the mark bearer right before dawn? I've seen it many times. Is that what's happening to me now? Lord Yashiki, wait for me. I'll kill. I can hear Mary stand up over by the sofa. At this rate, the rabbit's fate will be mine too. I have to run away. Check within the red in my room. Something whispers in my ear. That's right, that voice. But what does my room mean? Focus. Who does the voice belong to? Yasuoka, she said. It was someone who loved me. Well, there's blood all over Saekujo's room, so I think we're going to go there if that's an option. Mary's coming closer. Where should I run? And it seems we have a connection to her, because how could we know that? And we didn't specifically have a room. I sprint at full speed up the stairs and fly into Seiya's room. Okay. Much like the entrance hall, it's dark. The voice said, check within the red in my room. Is something there? But where should I look? Obviously the blood stain on the floor. Saekujo's bloodstain is still on the floor. It's obviously dry by this point in time. There might be something lying on top of it. I can't be sure as it's too dark. Nothing was there last time I was here. Picking it up, I discover that it's a small pouch. Inside is a hard, thin object. I move over to the moonlight to see it better. Oh, it's my thing. It's a small Buddha statue. It can't be. Is this the Ninjibutsu? It seems to be stained with blood, and I get an ominous feeling from it. The impurity, it hasn't been exorcised yet. I instinctively know the instant I see it. My mind is suddenly flooded with all of my memories of the Ninjibutsu, one after another. 50 years ago, the head of the Kujo family used this to steal Mary's power. He put the Ninjibutsu inside her to seal her. Then, about a month ago, someone took it out. That person was me. Because of that, Mary regained her powers. The Ninjibutsu in my hand looks exactly as it did back then, full of impurity. Impurity that's built up from sealing Mary's power for 50 years. To cleanse it, I left the Ninjibutsu at the uncontaminated 8th shrine. It would take time to exorcise all of the impurity. It's already July, the summer purification rite is over. So why is this still impure? The object the rabbit had in its mouth. It could have been carrying the pouch, then instead of the master key. Then the Ninjibutsu was taken from 8th shrine before the beginning of July. Maybe the rabbit saw Mary by the shrine and was scared that she would find it. So it had no choice but to steal it away. The door to the adjacent room opens. Mary must be looking for me. But she can sense the presence of mark bearers. What's going on? Wait, is it possible that Seiya's blood is protecting me? Bring it to where I met my end. The voice whispers in my ear again. If this isn't where the Voice House owner died, they must have met their end elsewhere. There's only one other place. While Mary is in the room next door, I sprint down to the entrance hall. I make a beeline to Mary's sofa in the spot where the rabbit died. The voice that spoke to me and helped me every time the spirit was closing in. If Saya was working through anything, it must have been that rabbit. Sensing something, I look down at my hand. The Ninjibutsu's impurity is gone. Is this what you've been telling me, Saya? I speak to the departed woman who's guided me as I struggled without memories. Put the Ninjibutsu, the source of the doll's curse. Press it to the black mark. Then the whisper stops. The floorboards creak ominously. I raise my head to the staircase, rising into the darkness before me. A dark figure stands on the landing. I found you. The mark scorches me. My head goes blank. Mary's coming closer. My body won't listen to me. Ah, Lord Yoshiki. Mary closes her hand around my neck. She's trying to kill me. I squeeze the Ninjibutsu and the fog that impedes my thoughts lifts. It's still a struggle to think. I should be able to move my arm now. Put the Ninjibutsu on the source of the curse. I only have one chance. Where should I stick the Ninjibutsu? Okay. Well, if we saw the picture of Mary, Mary was laying down. She had the curse on her arm. Okay. Oh, well, there are two arm options. It was her right arm based on the picture. I managed to drag my impossibly heavy arm and stick the Ninjibutsu on Mary's right arm. She's hiding it. But I'm sure that's where the black mark was. Ah! Marks bloom on Mary, one after the other. They're all the color of blood. It's like they're curses of those she's killed. Oh, you survived. Mary shatters into dust. Did I really do it? I hesitantly look down at my right arm. The mark is gone. I did it? I finally did it. I have to say it out loud to convince myself. A victory at the expense of Saya's life. I can't claim it's completely over, but there's no harm in being relieved for now. The fog clouding my head clears away. My memories slowly return to me. I look around the dimly lit hall again. I know this mansion well, because I'm... The clock on the second floor begins chiming wildly like it did 10 days ago. When I make my way to it, it stops, almost as if it had a will of its own. That's right, this grandfather clock. I think a skilled ancestor of the Cujo family crafted it. That one chisel may have been used to make it. That's right, inside this clock. I open the door and stick my hand inside. My fingers brush something hard. Taking it out, I realize it's a voice recorder. I press the play button. This on? This is Masamune Cujo. It's a man's voice, a voice I know all too well. It's my voice. I decided to leave this record behind in case something should happen. That doll may dispose of any files or documents. I'm banking on her overlooking a piece of technology. As I listen, I start to remember recording this. I'd done it right before I received the mark from Mary. Now, where should I begin? It started 5 years ago, 2 years after I became Cujo family head. My sister Saya and I found the doll in a wooden box while sorting the warehouse. The moment I broke the seal and saw her, I could sense something sinister. But it took a while longer to fully understand what she truly is. If only there had been records. The great-grandfather who stealed her didn't leave any before his early death. Because of that, his descendants weren't told about the doll. I managed to learn the doll had been loaned to an army lab during the war. A strange old man who lived in the underground shelter told me. Then I went overseas to try to get more information on the doll. But I got into an accident while away and was presumed missing. So Saya became the new family head. I wasn't able to contact her until after she had inherited the title. It wasn't something worth contesting, so I explained everything and had her keep up the facade that I was missing. Public records still stated that Masamune Cujo was very much alive, of course. I couldn't have used my passport or license otherwise. I'm off topic, sorry. I only just returned to the country last week. Other psychics abroad all agreed it would be bad to leave the doll be. A ninjibutsu inside the doll still suppressed its cursed power, but I realized that it was almost at its limit. If I left it alone, it would crumble. Then it'd be impossible to suppress the cursed power of the doll. That was worst-case scenario. But what was to be done? The answer I came up with was to remove the ninjibutsu from the doll temporarily. Its impurity would be cleansed after a month stored in a pure area, and then I'll place it back in the doll. If I succeed, the doll's power will be sealed for a few more decades. But the problem is that 1 month. I have no idea what kind of curse will be released when the doll's unsealed. I'll do what I can to prevent disasters, but my power can't compare to the ninjibutsu. I can't guarantee anything. There may be victims again, like the tragedy 50 years ago. But this is a necessary evil. It must be done in order to prevent even more people from falling victim. After this, I'll dismantle the doll and remove the ninjibutsu. I pray everything goes according to plan and the worst of evils is avoided. I hope this record isn't needed. But if the one listening to this has a loved one who's fallen victim to the curse, then I'm very sorry. Okay, so we were Saya's brother. The recording ends there. Damn it. I clench my fist so hard my nails dig into my palms. Yes, the voice on the tape was mine, but I'm furious with it. I don't know that person at all. The mark has claimed so many victims over the past month. I even lost my little sister, Saya. Was she just another inevitable victim that the voice spoke of? I can't forgive him. Ever since I lost my memories, I've lived as Kazuo Yoshiki. My blood boils at what Masamune Kujo did. Okay, Chapter 5, Cannon Soldier, end. Two months have passed. The occasional cool breeze signals that summer is almost over. I've spent my time putting the case of the mark to rest as best I can. I put Saya to rest by burying the rabbit and contacting the surviving mark bearers. Putting the Buddha statues in places of honor was also one of those tasks. They weren't connected to the mark after all, but I couldn't just leave them there. Plus, there was no way Christie'd keep quiet about the statues. So with her guidance and Yasuoka, Daimon, and Banshee's help, I carried the broken statues out of the shelter and returned them to H Shrine. By now, my memories have completely returned. But I still can't think of myself as Masamune Kujo. My memories of my past feel more like I'm reading someone else's biography. Legally, I am Masamune. I inherited Kujo Mansion. I'm not sure how to feel about it, but I think I'll consider it a way to pay Saya back for saving me. About Masamune Kujo. He became head of the Kujo 7 years ago. Scholarly inclined and introverted, he wasn't the type to be very social. He left all public appearances to Saya Kujo, so not many knew what he looked like. The only photos of him are from small local newspapers. Masamune accidentally uncovered Mary in the family's warehouse 5 years ago. That discovery changed his life. I traveled extensively abroad in order to learn more about Mary. In one country, I got into an accident and fell into a coma for half a year. Even worse, that country proceeded to treat me as an unidentified traveler. I don't know if it was merely my terrible luck or if Mary's curse had something to do with it. When I was finally able to contact home, Saya had already become the new head. The rest was as the tape said. I had no idea that Mary's power was far greater than I had imagined. All of my efforts to suppress her power were completely useless. My memories unraveled faster than I thought. How did Mary come to be in the first place? One theory says a doll maker in the 19th century used magic to create her. Another says a spirit of a young girl who died prematurely took up residence in the doll. In the end, it's still a mystery. No one knows what happened to create a doll like that. We only know that each of Mary's owners died tragic deaths. Shortly after the turn of the 20th century, she came to be owned by the head of the Kujos. He either didn't know of the curse or simply didn't believe it. Disasters began befalling the family. Mary gained enough power to become sentient and produce spirits. Then the tragedy in the shelter happened. The seething grudges of the experiment's victims and Buddha statues. They may have triggered her awakening. Whatever Mary's true identity is, the fact remains she altered many people's fates. Mine and the mark bearers included. Speaking of, an update on the surviving mark bearers. Moe Watanabe became a part-time writer for her favorite magazine, OOP Arts Monthly. She sometimes comes to Kujo Mansion to interview me about spirits and ghosts. Tsukasa Yoshida is studying every day for the middle school exams next year. He bragged in his letter to me about how well he did in the national mock tests. Satoru Mishida bought me a drink, like he promised. Seems he's thinking about becoming a private detective. He actually asked me if I wanted to join him. Was he serious? I don't know for sure. Sho Nagashima is picking fights, riding his bike, and doing whatever he wants, as usual. But recently, out of the blue, I heard he's joined his neighborhood's baseball team. Christy Arimura has started writing an essay exposing all of her past affairs. She's trying to get back into the industry. Suzu Moriyama was able to see her father. Lately, she started asking me for advice about how to get her parents to reconcile. I have no idea if I helped at all, but she says they sometimes have meals together now. Ida Nakamatsu has gone back to surfing the BBS every day, as usual. BBS? I miss BBSs. But what's new is he's been stopping by the City Employment Center. I guess he wants to get a steady job and be a role model for Suzu. Best of luck to him. A day doesn't go by that I don't see Ai Kashiwagi on TV as part of Love and Hero. She sent a ticket like she promised, but I need to drum up some courage to go to a concert for teens. Alone. At my age. Towako Yasuoka is still working as a fortune teller in Ginza. Apparently, she believes I have spiritual powers or something. She keeps sending customers with spirit problems to the mansion. I wish she'd stop. Madoka Hiru spends her days working as a researcher while also visiting the shelter. Her and Banshee squabble a lot, but I wish she'd stop complaining to me about it. Shuji Diamond seems to be doing better now, like a weight's been lifted off his chest. He's in the process of convincing officials to publicize the shelter and build a memorial for it. Banshee Ito has returned to his beloved underground shelter. He stops by the mansion sometimes, filling the place with his scent. Of course, he comes to beg me for food. Now then, I finish my break and return to the workbench in the corner of the room. Over the past 2 months, Mary's managed to repair herself. Her power hasn't completely come back yet, but she's still extremely frightening. The Nenjibutsu alone won't be enough to continue sealing her powers in the years to come. I must prepare extra spiritual measures. It's taken a long time to get those ready, but today I finally finished. Once everything is complete, I replace the Nenjibutsu inside Mary. Finally, it's over. I pick Mary up and put her in a wooden box. 5 years. This all started when I opened the lid of this box. Mary stares up at me from the depths of the box. I have no idea if she's aware of what's happening right now. But there's no doubt she'll regain her powers when the Nenjibutsu wears out decades from now. I'm determined to find a way to destroy this cursed doll before that happens. Until that day, you need to stay asleep, Mary.
Alright, so that's everything for the main story of Deathmark. There is a DLC chapter, so we will get to that. But that is everything for this time, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!